Hello, welcome to our presentation for the Association for Baha'i Studies Conference in Calgary 2025. An arts-grounded practice of intentional self-reflection for community building. My name is Chuck Egerton. I'm from North Carolina. My panelists are Trina Gluckman of Hawaii and Dina Sandgreen of Greenland. Please note that this entire presentation is protected by copyright. We ask that you ask permission to use it. PhotoSophia, know yourself. Intentional self-reflection is critical to the success of community building. We will share and engage in the practice of PhotoSophia, light and wisdom, as sacred long-looking, as arts-grounded exploration. Baha'u'llah writes, "True loss is for him whose days have been spent in utter ignorance of his self." In what ways does our ignorance become a serious obstacle to overcoming our inherent racism and sexism in community building efforts? PhotoSophia has been used around the world with adults, youth, and children to bring thyself to account each day, helping us embrace vulnerability and authentic unity in a humble posture of learning. This is a time lapse of the very first PhotoSophia that I created during my doctoral research when I invented this practice. You can see, and this took about an hour to do, you can see my drawing, painting, writing, collaging all around my portrait. On the left side is one prompt to follow. On the right side is another. In the case of what we're going to do in the conference is weeding would be on the left and cultivating would be on the right. So you would inscribe, and this is what we call this process, inscribe on the left the process of weeding, what you need to weed out, and on the right, what you need to cultivate. The process of PhotoSophia, Light and Wisdom, is very simple. Part one is take a selfie on your cell phone, not a normal portrait, a serious and contemplative photo. Take several until you're satisfied. Take 5 to 10 minutes in quiet meditation. Gaze and meditate on the self-portrait with intention and curiosity. Really study your face. Imagine you're looking at a stranger, someone you've never seen before. Describe to yourself this stranger's features and your reading of their expression. Part two is to place your cell phone with selfie on the screen in the center of the piece of paper, or we call it a template, that you've been given. And those at the conference will each be given one of these templates. Use pencil to write your impressions of yourself as you look deeply at your cell phone portrait. You can draw, use poetry or quotations, but concentrate on the weeding and cultivating. Sacred long-looking, reading your own reality. Thou hast forwarded thy photograph, and it was considered. In thy face a brilliant light is apparent, and that sparkling light is the love of God. This light is not accidental, it is eternal. It is not temporal, but real. When the heart hath become clear and pure, then the face will become illuminated, because the face is the mirror of the heart. Abdu'l-Baha. Meditation is the key for opening the doors of mysteries, writes Abdu'l-Baha. In conflict transformation, meditation can often offer a state of abstraction apart from the physical world, a subjective mood where one can be immersed in the ocean of spiritual life and unfold the secrets of things in themselves. What is learned through the meditative process of PhotoSophia can serve as a lens to understand more deeply and provide a structure to transform societal and cultural factors, to prevent the negative and promote the positive, boosting the potential and will to foster the performance of peaceful masculinities. Again, this is in reference to my doctoral study, and the quotation is from Abdu'l-Baha. The imponderable, the spiritual factors which are bound up with their own individual and inner lives, and with which are associated their human and social relationships, are no less urgent and vital and demand constant scrutiny, continual self-examination and heart-searching on their part, lest their value be impaired or their vital necessity be obscured or forgotten. Shoghi Effendi. Let every believer desirous to witness the swift and healthy progress of the cause of God realize the twofold nature of his task. Let him first turn his eyes inwardly, and search his own heart and satisfy himself that in his relations with his fellow believers, irrespective of color and class, he is proving himself increasingly loyal to the spirit of his beloved faith. Shoghi Effendi. Ignorance of self, reading your own reality. True loss is for him whose days have been spent in utter ignorance of his self. He hath known God who hath known himself. Baha'u'llah. Humanity is gripped by a crisis of identity. As various peoples and groups struggle to define themselves, their place in the world, and how they should act, without a vision of shared identity and common purpose, they fall into competing ideologies and power struggles, seemingly countless permutations of us and them, define group identities ever more narrowly and in contrast to one another. The Universal House of Justice. Inherent prejudice, racism, and sexism. Reading your own reality. Racism, one of the most baneful and persistent evils, is a major barrier to peace. Its practice perpetuates too outrageous a violation of the dignity of human beings to be countenanced under any pretext. Racism retards the unfoldment of the boundless potentialities of its victims, corrupts its perpetrators, and blights human progress. Recognition of the oneness of mankind, implemented by appropriate legal measures, must be universally upheld if this problem is to be overcome. The emancipation of women, the achievement of full equality between the sexes, is one of the most important, though less acknowledged, prerequisites of peace. The denial of such equality perpetrates an injustice against one half of the world's population and promotes in men harmful attitudes and habits that are carried from the family to the workplace, to political life, and ultimately to international relations. There are no grounds, moral, practical, or biological, upon which such denial can be justified. Only as women are welcomed into full partnership in all fields of human endeavor will the moral and psychological climate be created in which international peace can emerge. The Universal House of Justice. Sacred power of the arts, reading your own reality. It hath been revealed, it is now repeated, that the true worth of artists and craftsmen must be appreciated, for they advance the affairs of mankind. True learning is that which is conducive to the well-being of the world, not to pride and self-conceit, or to tyranny, violence, and pillage. Baha'u'llah. All art is a gift to the Holy Spirit. When this light shines through the mind of a musician, it manifests itself in beautiful harmonies. Again, shining through the mind of a poet, it is seen in fine poetry and poetic prose. When the light of the sun of truth inspires the mind of a painter, he produces marvelous pictures. These gifts are fulfilling their highest purpose when showing forth the praise of God. Abdu'l-Baha. Photograph has the power to stand simultaneously as a visual record and as a powerful visual metaphor, giving meaning and context that words cannot express. A photograph stops time, creates history, feeds memory, and reminds us of our mortality. Our inner artist can muster an image of our human nobility, starting with a wordless process. Art often employs metaphor to create what could be from what is. Metaphor, Zare writes, allows us to see with eyes expanded beyond the simply literal, the cataloging of perceptions. It allows us to see relationships through the two ways of knowing, reason and intuition, science and art, must work together in response to the metaphorical imperative that is at the base of the human method. Maybe there is no truly human understanding without both. The PhotoSophia method is a process of self-metaphor, from my doctoral dissertation. Basho, the haiku master, wandered through medieval Japan, writing poetry with the goal to leave the reader a profound amari no kokoro, or aftertaste, a lingering resonance of emotion and insight. The haiku poetic form is my favorite because it expresses an essence that transcends the very words it uses. And with a flash and a whiff, a moment, a glance, a visual slice, conveys image, metaphor, and meaning with a simple but not reductionist energy. A PhotoSophia portrait, like a haiku, is a synthesis rather than reductionism. The balance between order and complexity is essential for effective visual nonverbal communication, which conveys much more information than can possibly be put into words. Like a haiku, a photograph is taken in the constraint of time and space, framed and in a fraction of a second, but leaving a profound resonance into the future. From my doctoral dissertation. The role of the artist is exactly the same as the role of the lover. If I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you don't see. James Baldwin. Genuine relationship, reading your own reality. Love gives life to the lifeless. Love lights a flame in the heart that is cold. Love brings hope to the hopeless and gladdens the hearts of the sorrowful. In the world of existence, there is indeed no greater power than the power of love. When the heart of man is aglow with the flame of love, he is ready to sacrifice all, even his life. In the gospel, it is said, God is love. Abdul Baha. Ultimately, the power to transform the world is affected by love. Love originating from the relationship with the divine. Love ablaze among the members of a community. Love extended without restriction to every human being. You are the channels of this divine love. Let it flow through you to all who cross your path. Infuse it into every neighborhood and social space in which you move, to build capacity, to canalize the society-building power of Baha'u'llah's revelation. There can be no rest until the destined outcome is achieved. Universal House of Justice. A humble, vulnerable posture of learning, reading your own reality. The emancipated soul sees with the eyes of perfect faith because it knows what vast provisions are made to enable it to gain the victory over every difficulty and trial. Yet man must ever remember the earth plane is a workshop, not an art gallery for the exhibits of powers. This is not the plane of perfection, but earth is the crucible for the refining and molding character. Abdul Baha. Accountability, bringing yourself to account each day. O son of being, bring thyself to account each day ere thou art summoned to a reckoning, for death unheralded shall come upon thee, and thou shalt be called to give account for thy deeds. I think we could say that this passage is probably at the heart and core of the work of PhotoSophia. Inner and outer contradictions, virtue counterfeiting. Is not the object of every revelation to effect a transformation in the whole character of mankind, a transformation that shall manifest itself both outwardly and inwardly, that shall affect both its inner life and external conditions? Baha'u'llah. God's purpose in sending his prophets unto men is twofold. The first is to liberate the children of men from the darkness of ignorance and guide them to the light of true understanding. The second is to ensure the peace and tranquility of mankind and provide all the means by which they can be established. Baha'u'llah. O my friend in word, ponder a while. Hast thou ever heard that friend and foe could abide in one heart? Cast out then the stranger, that the friend might find his home. Baha'u'llah. He saith, O ye that are foolish, yet have a name to be wise, wherefore do ye wear the guise of the shepherd, while inwardly ye have become wolves, intent upon my flock? You're even as the star which riseth ere the dawn, and which, though it seems radiant and luminous, leadeth the wayfarers of my city astray into the paths of perdition. And likewise he saith, O ye seemingly fair, yet inwardly foul. You are like clear but bitter water, which to outward seeming is crystal pure, but of which, when tested by the divine assayer, not a drop is accepted. Yea, the sunbeam falleth alike upon the dust and the mirror, yet differ they in reflection even as doth the star from the earth. Nay, immeasurable is the difference. Baha'u'llah. Ignorance, arrogance, narrowness of mind, incomplete knowledge, and counterfeit knowledge are of concern to us because they are dangerous. They cause destruction. When united with great power, they cause great destruction. We have often been a destructive species. We are more destructive now than we have ever been. And this, in perfect accordance with ancient warnings, is because of our ignorant and arrogant use of knowledge. Wendell Berry. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. James Baldwin. Vulnerability and embracing discomfort and risk. Identity would seem to be the garment by which one covers the nakedness of the self, in which case it is best that the garment be loose, a little like the robes of the desert, through which robes one's nakedness can always be felt and sometimes discerned. This trust in one's nakedness is all that gives one the power to change one's robes. James Baldwin. Naked am I, O my God, clothe me with the robe of thy tender mercies. I am sore athirst, give me to drink of the oceans of thy bountiful favor. I am a stranger, draw me nearer unto the source of my gifts, thy gifts. I am sick, sprinkle upon me the healing waters of thy grace. I am a captive, rid me of my bondage. Baha'u'llah. Any real change implies the breakup of the world as one has always known it, the loss of all that gave one identity, the end of safety, and at such a moment, unable to see and not daring to imagine what the future will now bring forth, one clings to what one knew or dreamed that one possessed. Yet it is only when a man is able, without bitterness or self-pity, to surrender a dream he has long possessed, that he is set free. He has set himself free for higher dreams, for greater privileges. James Baldwin. How great, therefore, how staggering the responsibility that must weigh upon the present generation of American believers at this early stage in their spiritual and administrative evolution, to weed out by every means in their power those false habits and tendencies which they have inherited from their own nation, and to cultivate patiently and prayerfully those distinctive qualities and characteristics that are so indispensable for their effective participation in the great redemptive work of their faith. Shoghi Effendi. And here we see the two prompts for our PhotoSophia, to weed out on the left and to cultivate on the right. I want to share some examples of PhotoSophia that I think will help you in seeing what it is that we're about to do and that you might try to do for those of you that see this video after the conference. This is Dina PhotoSophia. Just take a look at how powerful that presentation is. So Dina's portrait's in a mirror in the center, and her inscriptions on the left and the right in the form of leaves on the tree. Here you can see a little close-up of what she's done. So it involves collage and just a lot of amazing artwork. And this gives you an example of the size of this piece of work that she did and how she assembled it. This is my own PhotoSophia, and I would start by one of my haikus: to seek my true self is to acquire a taste for ambiguity. This is the one that you saw earlier, and this is a more recent one that I did for another presentation. And the egg symbolizes here for me that I am undone. I'm just beginning. I'm an embryo. And you see weeding on the left and cultivating on the right. This is by one of our friends, Leanne. She did this in our Whiteness and Patriarchy reading group. But just take a look at this amazing work she did with fabric and stitching and writing on the fabric. She did her PhotoSophia in a very amazing and different ways. People have done this in so many different ways, including some people have done video PhotoSophias. This is our friend Sarah. You can see this with the camera or the phone in the middle with her portrait there. And then we have a couple of close-ups that show, the left side, and there she is in the snow. And the portrait is so telling. There's so much that could be said there. And this is her with you can see a close-up of what she wrote on the right. Very profound, very meaningful, and very self-revealing. O son of being, bring thyself to account. Each day art thou summoned to a reckoning, for death unheralded shall come upon thee, and thou shalt be called to give account for thy deeds. I repeat this because, again, it is really the core of the work of PhotoSophia. So I want to just thank you for listening to this, and I want to give you a contact email here if you have questions or you want to use PhotoSophia. It's chuckegerton@gmail.com. And again, we want to remind you that we do have an ABS reading group called Whiteness and Patriarchy, Weeding Out Barriers to Oneness, Cultivating Justice and Authenticity. The address is whiteness.patriarchy@gmail.com. We usually do one or two